Hey, I'm Lindsay Lyman. I worked almost 12 years at Amazon and saw so many brilliant and successful overachievers burn themselves out and leave their jobs because they're so stressed and anxious. But guess what? Having a successful career does not have to be at the expense of your mental sanity and personal time. There's an easier way, and I can show you how. Let's do this. All right, y'all. If you or someone you know is ready to get promoted, but you have a terrible manager, or you're very nervous to bring up the initial conversation with your manager, listen up. This one is for you. So I've been doing this for, 5-6 years now. I've worked with thousands of people, and the number one thing that holds people back from going after the promotion that they want, it's not that it's not clear, it's not that it's hard, it's not that they don't feel like they have time. The number one thing why they don't go after it is because they dread the initial conversation with your manager, especially if they're not great. If you don't trust your manager, it's hard to go and have kind of a vulnerable conversation with them because you don't know how they're going to respond and you worry about the repercussions. Or you're so convinced they're going to say no, you don't even want to have the conversation. It feels like a waste of time. So if you're in this spot, usually the thing that finally pushes people to go and have this awkward, challenging conversation at times is they're so overwhelmed. They have so much resentment. They're so annoyed because they know they should have been promoted months ago and they're not. So finally they go in and have this conversation, but they're usually a little mad and frustrated and annoyed. So what I want to teach you today is kind of the high level framework of how to bring up a promotion with a bad manager. And following this makes it really difficult for them to say no. And it calls out in a respectful way if they're saying no without having good data and valid specific reasons why. So I want to teach you this high-level framework today on the podcast, but I've also created a cheat sheet that's going to help you implement it for your specific situation. This is so good. It's so helpful. My clients are loving it. This cheat sheet is going to help you create like the talking script so you know exactly what to say based on what you got going on for you. So there's a link to it in the show notes. Go grab that cheat sheet. You need it. Or you can go to lindsaylymancoaching.com/ask and download a copy of it. It's totally free, no obligation. But this is going to help you take what I'm going to talk about today and implement it. Again, it's going to give you a talking script to know how do you get your bad manager to say yes to your promotion. So let's dive in. Okay, first thing, do not go to them and say, hey, I want to get promoted. Here's all the things I've done. Here's all the results I've delivered. Here's all the amazing things and why I think I'm ready for a promotion. So you're going to promote me? You don't want to approach it this way. This is giving your manager an easy out because you're asking in a way that's asking for a yes, no response. I would give you the same feedback if you're wanting more money or you're wanting to get bigger scope or to own a project or become a manager. Like whatever that thing is, if you're not sure the response or you're expecting you're going to get some pushback, do not ask a yes, no question. A yes, no question is something like, hey, in the team meeting last week, do you think I was communicating clearly? Right? The response to it is yes or no. You want to make sure you're asking open-ended questions that require conversation and communication and aren't just a yes or no. On the flip side, if you know for sure it's a yes or you want to get very clear yes or no answers, ask a yes or no question. You think of how people ask each other to marry them. It's not an open-ended question. It's a, will you marry me? Yes or no. Okay. So in this instance where you're unsure of the outcome or you think it may not be in the direction you want, overall, you don't want to be asking yes or no questions. So instead of starting by saying, hey, I want to talk to you about a promotion. Here's all the reasons why you should promote me. You want to start by asking, hey, manager, are you open to discussing this? What this does is it allows you to kind of highlight that this might be awkward. We might have to have some hard conversations. And it gives your manager a heads up and allows you to reschedule and talk about it at a different time if needed. Okay, so you want to start by asking if they're open to discussing it, and then you want to call out the elephant in the room and kind of set a clear goal. So let's say you're not sure how they're going to respond. The way you might want to open it up is not say, will you promote me, yes or no, but to say, hey, I'd like to talk about what a possible path might look like in my current position to get promoted. I know we might need to have a hard conversation or two, and I'm not quite sure what your feedback or response is to that, but I'd like to look at what options are to getting promoted. Is now a good time for that? Now, I know that's technically a yes or no question, but you're not asking them, do you think I'm ready for a promotion, yes or no? You're inviting them to the conversation. You want to try to be on the same team, on the same side. You don't want to be at war with this person on opposite sides, trying to get them to come to your side. Or let's say you need to call out the elephant in the room and you expect that they're going to say, no, they don't think you're ready for a promotion. Here's what that might sound like. Hey, today I'd like to talk about what possible paths might look like to get promoted. I expect there's some pretty big gaps you have identified that you don't feel I'm ready for it, but I want to align on what specific areas need to improve and what possible paths might look like to get there, right? You're like acknowledging the awkwardness in the room. Then you want to go and start asking questions around your strengths, around your gaps, around things they think are working, around maybe you have questions around what the process even looks like at your company. But again, as much as possible, you want to try to stay away from yes or no questions. Your goal through this conversation is to not get defensive and be on opposite sides. When we ask a yes or no question, someone comes back with an answer that's some version of no. So let's say you did ask that question of, did I clearly communicate in the team meeting last week? And your manager comes back with, no, I don't think so. Your logical next question is why? When we ask the question, quote unquote, why, it puts them on the defense. And now we're at war because we're on opposite sides. Now, hear me out. If this is an awkward conversation or you're frustrated because you don't agree with what your manager's saying or you're nervous, it's hard to ask open-ended questions. I get it. Logically, our brain feeds us questions in yes or no because it likes absolute. So learning the skill of asking open-ended questions is a skill you have to practice. It's okay. So if you find yourself in this pattern of asking yes or no questions, your next best option is to think in ways that's going to keep you on the same side. Think in ways that help you stay in a space of not frustrated and annoyed and stuck and resentful, but in a space of curiosity. And if you can't do curiosity, even confusion is better. Because you think of like, if I'm confused, I'm not mad. I'm not at opposite sides. I'm not trying to convince you to come over to me. I'm just like confused. I'm not sure where to go. I'm floundering. I'm open to coming on your side and I'm open to helping you see how you could come onto mine, but we're not on opposite sides. So if you really are struggling in this space of yes or no questions, try to get yourself to curiosity or confusion. That comes from thinking like, I wonder why they're giving this feedback when they don't have examples to back it up. And you got to be like genuinely fascinated, like curious, to be like, there's some logical reason. I'm not saying you have to agree with them, but there's some reason they're giving you this feedback and they don't have examples. Being confused, again, it keeps you on the same side. I'm confused why we haven't figured out what the specific gaps are yet. I haven't figured this out yet. I wonder why, right? It's not keeping you stuck. We're just in this curious, confused state. Or another thought of like, I can tell they really do believe I'm not ready. I wonder why we are at such differing opinions. I wonder if there's something they're not comfortable saying or that they're not able to articulate. I wonder how we can figure this out. I'm not saying you got to agree with them, but if you get to a space where you're frustrated and annoyed, I recommend you end the conversation and come back to it, because now we're at war. And what you're going to do is end up spending your time trying to convince them why they're wrong and you're right, instead of spending your time finding a way to actually get promoted. So the goal is to not turn this conversation into a tug of war. You want to be on the same side, even if it's from curiosity and confusion. Be open to what they're saying. They might be wrong, but you both might need to investigate a little bit more to figure that out. Or you might be wrong, but you both need to investigate a little bit more to figure it out. So you want to go into the conversation, asking them if they're open to the discussion, calling out the elephant in the room, asking open-ended questions, and then you want to end it by setting clear next steps, recapping things in writing and in the meeting, right? Align to make sure you agree on what the next steps are. And then you got to own following up. The two biggest mistakes I see people make after you have this initial conversation, regardless how the conversation went, is one, employees expecting their manager to own the promo process and to lead it and to do the heavy lifting. No, you got to go do that. You got to schedule the meetings. You got to write the documents. You got to help brainstorm and come up with the ideas to help you work on projects that have bigger scope, if that's the gap. You need to give written updates on what you're doing and the impact it's having. You might need to go and ghostwrite some emails that they need to send on your behalf for the promotion. This is your chance to lead you through the promo process. So after this conversation, do not make the mistake of expecting your manager to own the next steps. You got to own it. The second mistake I see people make is they don't keep a paper trail. Keep a paper trail, especially if you've got a bad manager and you don't trust them. We call this KYA, cover your ass. Like, your manager may rotate and change. They might give conflicting feedback. By having a documented trail, if your manager changes, it's not going to set back your timeline, and it allows you to keep the feedback more data-driven and less about the drama and emotional state of your manager that day. So high level, this is how I recommend you approach the conversation. Again, it makes it very challenging for your manager to just shut it down and say no. You're not asking for a promotion. You're asking to look at what possible options might look like for a path to promotion. Okay, so make sure you go and download that cheat sheet document I made that's going to step by step ask you questions, and your answers are going to become your talking script. You're going to be nervous. You're going to be anxious. That's okay. Set yourself up and use this talking script as a way to lead the conversation to help you get the outcome you want. It is so good, you guys. It works. If you're a manager and you're not necessarily looking to get promoted right now, go download it and give it to your team to use as a tool as they approach you. This is going to help them own the conversation confidently for them to own their promotion as well. So again, the link's in the show notes, or go to lindsaylymancoaching.com/ask. But this is so good. You want these step-by-step directions to help you figuring out the talking script of how to bring up your promotion with your manager that you don't trust and you're not sure how it's going to go. All right, y'all, you're amazing. You got this. We'll talk soon. If what you're learning from this podcast is helping, this is just the beginning. Each week, I offer a limited number of coffee chats so that you and I can connect one-on-one and talk specifically about what's going on for you. You'll leave this call feeling more hopeful and motivated, but I'm also going to teach you a few things to try right away to get unstuck. Space is very limited and these are free, so grab your spot before they're gone. Click the link in the show notes or go to lindsaylymancoaching.com/chat and sign up today. You got this.